Hey everybody, how's it going? It's the Daily Shooter, and today we're going to be taking a look at the SCAR 17S. Does it live up to the hype? Is it worth all the money that it costs? Well, let's go ahead and talk about it. Okay, so the SCAR 17S, the semi-automatic version of the SCAR 17, which is an iconic battle rifle, still being used by our special forces today, and I think that's why a lot of people really want one. That's why they gravitate to it, because it's still being used by the military, and there's a lot of people out there that want what's being used by the military, but they are extremely expensive. They cost quite a bit of money, especially this one right here, which was a special edition. It's got that Western Viper camo that some people absolutely hate and some people love. I myself started out loving it. Now I don't like it so much. Regardless, it's still the exact same platform. Now, the SCAR 17S, which again is the civilian version, is a fantastic rifle, and it does have a lot to offer. There's some upsides to it, there's some downsides to it, but I think in the end, you really couldn't go wrong if you have one of these. It is extremely reliable. It's very accurate. You know that if you pick one of these things up, it's going to go every single time. It's going to get the job done. Okay, so let's go and talk about some of the positive and negative things about the SCAR 17S. Now, one of the biggest negative things that you're going to hear from just about everybody is that this does have a reciprocating charging handle, meaning the charging handle actually goes back and forth as a new round is cycled in and out. Now, this is chambered in 7.6251. You can also shoot 308 out of it, but 7.6251 or 308 has a decent amount of energy, a decent amount of recoil, and that charging handle does come flying back with quite a bit of energy. So if you have your thumb, your hand, or anything else behind that charging handle when the trigger gets pulled, you're going to know about it, and it's going to ruin your day because that's going to come back with quite a bit of force. And there's a lot of people out there that have stories, or they could tell you that they have scar thumb. Basically, it just, takes your thumb and points it in the opposite direction there. So having a reciprocating charging handle, I agree, that does kind of suck. For me, I don't really find myself getting in the way of it very much. I'm conscious that it's there. I'm aware that it's there. I haven't been with, in any type of stressful situation with this, so I can't speak to that. But people who are professionals find themselves in stressful situations where you might have to go prone, you might have to lay on your side, use whatever cover you can find, and obviously that's going to change your grip. That could be a pretty big problem for them. Now, nice feature about the SCAR 17 is that you can actually take that charging handle and you could switch it over to the other side. Pretty much everything here is going to be ambidextrous. So all you have to do is simply pop down this stock right here, bring the bolt and the carrier back, and then you could simply pop out the charging handle and switch it to the other side. So if you are, a righty like me and you want to run it a little bit more like an AK, you can go ahead and you can switch it to the other side, and that might help keep your hand out of the way a bit. You can see if I hold it all the way back here, it kind of comes towards the end of where the charging handle would sit. Any further back, my fingers are kind of forced down a bit, right? If I hold on to the mag well, my fingers are kind of forced down a bit, and I'm probably not going to want to put my fingers by the ejection port either. That's going to cause a malfunction, and it could also injure you. So the chances are you're going to be either here, you're going to be here, you're going to be forward if the charging handle is on this side, and it probably isn't going to affect you much. Now, another negative thing you might hear about the SCAR 17S or the 16S is that it has a very short handguard, and that it does, but I still don't subscribe to that being a bad thing. You can see that the distance between the magwell and the end of the handguard is very short. That doesn't allow you a lot of room to put clip-on devices, lights, lasers, and still have a place to hold your hand. Now, if you just want to leave it the way it came out of the box, sure, I can see that actually being kind of a downside, but there's a lot of things that you can do to these. They are fully customizable these days. And if you have nearly $4,000 to spend on a rifle, you probably have enough money to upgrade it. And it's not that difficult to upgrade it. For instance, this is my SCAR 16S, and you can see that in order to effectively make the handguard longer, I just put a longer rail on it. This is a KDG rail. It allows me to hold it much further, and it gives me a lot more flat top. Now, in order to get rid of that flat top, you do have to take out the front sight. But again, to me, that's not a very big deal given the fact that there's so many aftermarket flip-up sights that you can get that'll work just fine for this. But I am able to get my hand much further out there and get a better grip on it, kind of get a nice good hold on it. You can see that it also gets rid of the Picatinny rail on the side and replaces that with M-LOK, which is a very sturdy platform. It's the platform of the future, if you ask me. And so there are ways to modify it to be able to, extend your hand a little bit further out there, which is great. This is a KDG rail that I got from Optics Planet. If you guys want to and you're interested in one of those, you can use the discount code TDS5 over at Optics Planet, and that'll save you a little bit of money on one of those. So you can modify them and make the handguard a little bit longer and have something to hold on to. They also make some that will allow you to keep the flip-up sight right here. Basically, there's a gap in the top of the rail, and then the rail continues on down here, and that'll allow you to keep that flip-up sight. So there's different options that you can get, but I don't see that really being a bad thing. Another one is people don't like the fact that it takes FN magazines. They're like proprietary magazines to this platform. Now, that's another thing that does kind of suck, because these magazines, they're fairly expensive. I think I was paying 50 or 60 bucks a piece, something like that. I don't really remember. I bought like 6 or 7 of these just to kind of have on hand, but they're fairly expensive and they're proprietary. They're not going to work with like your SR25 mags that would work in like a Daniel Defense or a standard SR25 or AR10 style lower receiver. You're not going to do that. But again, with everything else being so modifiable, there's actually lower receivers that are being sold on the market right now that will replace this low receiver, and it's just a polymer low receiver. It'll replace it so that it will accept those types of magazines. So if you wanted to take those types of mags, you could do it. Just takes a little bit of modification. It's not that hard to switch out the lower on this thing. Okay, so with all that negativity out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to the positive stuff. And there's a lot of positive things to talk about with the SCAR 17S. It is reliable, it is extremely accurate, it is very easy to shoot, but one of my favorite things is it's very lightweight. This thing starts out of the box, so without any scopes, magazines, or anything like that on it, starts out at 8 pounds. That is about 1 pound to 2 pounds lighter than just about all of my other 308s. So that's a pretty big difference. You're talking 16 to 32 ounces lighter. 308, anything chambered in 308 or 7.62 is going to be a little bit heavier, and it's going to have a little bit more recoil. So if you can get rid of at least one of those elements, you're already starting off ahead. So you get a lot less fatigue. It feels really good to shoot, but they also have a fantastic muzzle brake / flash hider on here, and that helps with the recoil as well. So if you're going to be, switching over to 308, you're shooting a little bit of a hotter load, it actually does keep it under pretty good control. I mean, when you're shooting this thing, it does shoot pretty flat. Now, this does have a short stroke gas piston system on it, and so it does kind of change the feel that you might typically have, like, a standard AR-15 or a DPMS style or SR25 where it's, a little bit more linear. This one does feel like you get a little bit of a barrel drop and a little bit of a barrel rise just from the reciprocation of that bolt and that gas system and everything working together. So you do get a little bit of a different feel, but it remains very nice. It remains linear. You can stay on target easy. The muzzle brake paired with the gas system, paired with the fact that this thing is ultra lightweight, means that you can stay on target all day long. It just helps you out quite a bit. So it does feel really nice. I also love the fact that it's completely ambidextrous. These things are totally ambidextrous. Like we talked about earlier, you can take the charging handle, pop that thing out, swap it to the other side. Mag release, both sides. I can drop the mag left or right. Your sling, your swivels, all that stuff, left or right. So everything is completely swappable on here, and that just means that anybody who picks it up, whether you're righty or lefty, you're going to be able to get right on it. Now, another thing I really like about the SCAR 17S is going to be its adjustability. It's very easy to adjust. It's very quick to adjust. It's very comfortable. You can go from suppressed to unsuppressed just by changing modes on the gas block, which takes just a second. Just make sure that you have some gloves on because it gets very, very hot. But again, go from suppressed to unsuppressed reliably very quickly. I also like the adjustability of the stock. Now, the stock itself isn't the best thing to look at. It looks just like an UGG boot, right? It's almost like they took the template from an UGG boot and decided to make a stock out of it. But if we put the looks aside, it is very comfortable, it's very ergonomic, and just like an AR-15, it allows you to adjust the length of pull so that you can make the length of pull perfect for you. But one other thing that I like is the fact that you can also adjust the comb on this. So the comb is going to be the top part right here where we put our cheek. You can lift that up or you can put that down so that you can have basically the perfect cheek position every single time for the optic and the height of the optic that you're using. And it also folds to the side and it locks to the side, making it a shorter, a little bit more carryable package. So if you have a case that maybe won't hold something this long, you can go ahead and flip that thing over, put it in that case, and it's going to fit in there just fine. You know, or if you're a professional, you're getting in and out of vehicles and maybe you need to shorten it up a little bit, you can do it that way as well, and it'll still fire with the stock folded as well. So I just love the adjustability of this and the fact that there's so many accessories out there, you can really change it to be exactly what you want it to be. It is extremely reliable. I've had this thing in the very fine silt of dry lake beds out here in North Nevada, or excuse me, North Las Vegas. So I've had it in dry lake bed silt that's gotten inside everything. Dirt, wind, sand, rain. I've taken this out in so many different conditions and never had a single reliability issue with it. Now, I haven't pushed it as hard as somebody who's going to take it into combat, but the military did. And the military can tell us that this is a very reliable battle rifle. So that's a very important thing. Now, in terms of accuracy, I've been able to get one MOA. I've seen other people able to get one MOA out of it. It just depends on, one, your skill level, and two, the ammunition that you choose. I use Federal Gold Medal Burger, and it seems to love that. So when I put that through it, I'm able to get one MOA. Everything else seems to be kind of teetering about that 1.5 MOA for me. Right now I have the Vortex, what is this? The Vortex Razor HD Gen 3 1-10 on here, which I've previously done a review on. And this right here works out great. So that kind of leads me to another thing where people say that, you know, one of the negative things is that people say that with the charging handle, when you bring it back, it's going to hit your optic or it's going to hit your optics mount. Now, I know we all have different optics that we like, but you just have to get a mount and an optic that will work to be as slim as possible. I see a lot of people put EOTechs on there. Well, EOTechs are super wide. They hang over, they have a large mount. There is a decent chance that you're going to hit your knuckle or hit your hand as you charge it, and that could cause a malfunction or a problem. I have a KDG quick disconnect mount right here, and this is super slim and it sits right on the rail, so it doesn't override the rail enough to the point where I'm ever going to hit my hand. I can rack this thing all day. I'm not going to hit it on anything. Aero Precision makes another great mount. With the Aero Precision mount, again, it's very slim. It's low profile. It's not quick disconnect, so it takes 3 screws, and those 3 screws sit nice and close to the rail, so you're not going to, you know, hit yourself when you're charging the rifle. So I don't see that really being much of a problem either. So it's lightweight, it's reliable, it's accurate, it's upgradable, it's comfortable, it's adjustable, it has a lot going for it. So is it worth the money? So if you made it this far in the video, you're probably going to be surprised by my answer here. And my answer is no, it's not worth the money. These things are extremely overpriced. Now, would it be worth, let's say, $2,000, $2,200? Sure, I think that it would be worth that. With what you get here, the reliability and all of the controls and just the way that this thing is actually designed and the fact that it's been tested and battle proven, which does count, right? It counts that this has been used by the military. I would pay $2,200 for it, but would I pay $3,400, $3,500, $3,700 for a SCAR 17 again, even though I already have once because I bought this myself? No, I probably wouldn't. To be honest with you, I'd go with a Daniel Defense DD5. That's what I would do, or I would just build my own. The one that I built myself actually runs better than my Daniel Defense, and I think it's just as tough as well. So I just don't know that I would do that. The one that I built probably comes out to close to $2,000, and that has some absolutely incredible parts on it, and a kit that just runs and runs and runs and is actually a little bit more accurate than this as well. So I don't know. I don't think I would spend that kind of money again if, the opportunity presented itself for me to get another one of these. I think they're just overpriced, but, there's a lot of hype behind it. I don't judge people who get them. Obviously, I spent my own money and got one too, so I don't judge anybody, but if I was to go out and get another 308, it's probably going to be, you know, an AR style 308 personally. So again, that's my overall, you know, review of the SCAR 17S. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really appreciate, you know, a like if you wouldn't mind, and subscribe if you are not already. Have a great day.